Okay, we are live. Welcome everybody to our weekly adventures. Oh my goodness. So a little bit of contribution may be required. I'm here still at Elgar, Costa Rica, and we are having the most epic thunderstorm right now. You guys are probably going to see the lightning in the background, but the thunder here shakes the casitas. You can feel the earth rumble. So it's pretty cool. And especially on our topic today, what's the value of being? So, what is the value of being for you? Yeah, it's raining cats and dogs. And also, do you? Wow, I don't know if you guys can hear that, but oh my goodness. Also, do you value your being? It's been an interesting journey for me. It's one of the things that I looked at a few years ago when I started my sobriety was I was just like, you know what, I need to get to liking who I am, liking who I am as a being, no matter what that takes. And it's been an interesting journey because I realized, and I still realize along the way, how much of that depended on people, being validated by people, how I was seen in the world, um, the way that I saw myself, whether I had or didn't have certain items of life, like money, relationship, different things that would create a sense of value in my world. And see, because when you have anything as the source of value that can be taken away, then you're in this constant state of being uncommitted to you. So what would it be like if you could actually value you, the being, and rather than what you have to do to prove that you're being anything, is you have a sense of being. What an interesting. I really hope you guys can hear that. Maybe let me know in the chat if you can hear it. uh, we're having this conversation on being, and the earth is just like, Bebe, I'll show you being. And I have been here at Elgar for, I think it's been about 5 weeks now. And it has been such an interesting journey. And with everything showing up as kind of like an acknowledgement, I would call it, of what being can be. And I remember this conversation I was having with Gary Douglas years ago, and I was looking at different energies of things, like, how do I have more gratitude? How do I be more vulnerable with myself? How do I trust myself more with the choices that I'm making and what I'm looking at? And one of the things that he said was, why don't you go out in nature and ask it to show you what those energies are? And so I started doing that. I was actually staying in Puerto Vallarta in Mexico at the time, and I would go out on these nature walks, and I would just be asking the butterflies and asking the trees and asking the birds and asking, excuse me, asking nature, hey, will you show me the energy of this? Show me the energy of gratitude. And I would get these kind of energetic awarenesses of where I would look for more. What I had in my world was more gratitude was a conditional thing. So I'll be grateful for this, but I won't be grateful for this. Same with vulnerability. Vulnerability was a conditional thing where I would have vulnerability with certain aspects of my life. But if it meant that you got a little bit too close and you got to see a little bit more that I wanted to show you, then walls and barriers up. And this is one of the things that we do walking through the world. But it's also one of the things that you've been shown and one of the things that you've been taught. So everything that everything that all brings up, times a godzillion, where you destroy and uncreate, and all the stuff that goes along with it, where you destroy and uncreate it all. Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pop, all night, shorts, boys, perverts, and beyond. So what I started with that, with getting these different awarenesses of what are these things energetically, was a different sense of what it is to be something rather than what it is to do something. So have you ever had any times in your life where things are just, wow, things just tend to show up with ease. And it could be moments, it could be certain, you may have this with parenting. You may have this in a relationship. You may have this with business. You may have this with nature. You may have this with something. But how much are those the areas of your life that you're willing to show up and be more in? What would it be like if you could live your whole life from that space? So, if you guys have been listening to these lives, you've heard me rant on about personalities, and there's been other things, and they were kind of the beginning of, I guess I would call it a different shift in my world with this. But in looking at anything that's not light for you, anything that's not showing up with ease, anything that you have to struggle with or fight against, or anything that you're in judgment of, basically, all the crappy stuff that we do, is you want to ask, is this personality or being? And we've kind of hit a point, and I've noticed this for myself also, where you'll run through that question with different things. Things will come up, personality or being, oh, personality. And then you'll pock and pod these personalities, and it kind of gets to a point where you're like, all right, I'm done with that. But then you're left with all of the things that you kind of identify yourself as. Well, what if you didn't have to identify yourself as anything anymore? What if you could live from a more malleable space of recognition? Wow. It's funny because I sit here trying to put words to some different things, and I don't know. Do you ever? What would it be like to have more gratitude in your life? Like for me, one of the things that's been, I guess, more present in my world lately is we live on this beautiful planet. It truly is beautiful. And I don't know about you guys, but for a lot of my life, I have tried to see what's valueless about me. And I've tried to see what's wrong with me. And I've tried to see where I don't fit and I should. And what if we could all show up, all allow ourselves to show up as us, as you, with no walls and with no barriers, with no need to protect yourself from anyone or anything, but just allow yourself to be more present in your life. One of the things I realized with, well, okay, so I talked about that thing of when you're doing something to prove you're being it, gratitude, vulnerability, take anything basically, is it always comes with conditions, but it also always requires validation. And how many of those times in your life have you really looked for people to see you, a certain way, validate you as something, is so that before you allow yourself to actually be it? But how much of that is what doesn't allow you to be it? What if everything that you desire to be, you already are, but you just haven't chosen yet? So everything that brings up times a godzillion, where you destroy and uncreate it all. Right and wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all nine, shorts, boys, perverts, meons. You guys are getting a show. I have been coming to Costa Rica for, I think, the last 13 years. I've heard a lot of thunder here. I've never heard thunder like that. So, and it literally started like 5 minutes before this live, and I was like, okay, this is going to be fun. And trying to hold a train of thought right now is also an interesting thing. So get a sense of that in your world, I guess, because I know for me, a lot of my life, I was always looking to be validated. Tell me what I am so that I can be it, or just show me a path so that I can walk it, or tell me what to do so that I can choose it. And I really wanted people to create my life for me and also validate me for what I thought they wanted me to be. And that does not that's not setting yourself up for liking who you are, because once again, it's always relying on something outside of you to provide it for you, rather than getting really present with yourself, getting really present with the things that are showing up in your life, and recognizing and giving yourself the freedom to choose what does and doesn't work for you. In order to get to that, though, with this, how do you get to more acknowledgement of you? Well, you got to start asking for it. One of the things that, well, a couple of things with this, because it was a huge thing for me, was I recognized that anywhere that I was looking for validation from another, anywhere, was everywhere that I wasn't willing to give myself some acknowledgement. So here's a great question for that is, what acknowledgement am I unwilling to give myself that keeps me seeking validation from others? Seeking and needing. Everything that is, times a godzillion, where you destroy and uncreate it. Right and wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all nine, shorts, boys, perverts, and beyonds. Another process, one of the creative processes that you can use with this also is, what energy, space, consciousness, and choice can I be to be the beyond this reality acknowledgement for myself that I truly be? Everything that doesn't allow it, destroy and uncreate it. Right and wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all nine, shorts, boys, perverts, and beyonds. So if you use that, when you kind of get a sense of, man, I wish somebody would validate me for this, or I wish I was getting seen for this, or I wish I could that. Another thing that was helpful for me, because this was actually a huge thing that I started working on early on in my sobriety. And one of the things that I recognized for myself was, most things that I would choose, or even anything that I was desiring to contribute to somebody else, I'd wanted to be validated for that contribution. I'd want to be seen for it. And I was like, oh, is this actually contribution, or am I using this as a way to be validated? And so what I started doing with that was I started going, okay, so what gift can I be without a need to be seen for being that gift? So if you ask this, like, what choice could you make today to be a contribution without the need of being seen as a contribution? What small choice? This could be something like, this could be anything. But see, because that's another thing that I'll say we, and I speak from where I've done this, with the awareness of, hopefully, if it registers, if this is something that you're like, oh man, shit, I've done that too, or I'm doing that, is these tools that you can use to get there. And see, one of the many, many thousands of things, millions of things that I love about Access Consciousness is, it's about getting you to being, about getting you out of thoughts, feelings, emotions, about getting you out of judgment, about getting you out of fight, about getting you out of need, and to be validated into being. And I always used to think that the journey to get to more and everything of who you are. And as I say that, actually, how many of you would like to have that as more of a target in your life? Like, Matt, you know what? No matter what it takes, I'm going to get to me. I'm going to get to everything that's true for me. It may take however long it takes, but what if you just were willing to make that demand of yourself and set your foot onto that path? Everything that is, times a godzillion. And everywhere you've also had these. How many of you have also waited for with something like that also, that's a big ask, right? You know what? I'm gonna get to everything that I am, but in asking for something like that, wait until you're actually in a position that you think you could receive it before you'll ask for it. What if you didn't have to do that anymore? What if you could actually ask for the things that you truly desire in your life and be willing to start allowing the universe to show you the things that don't allow you to have it, show you where you're making choices that don't allow you to receive something that you're asking for? And I think I talked in the, yes, beautiful thunder. I think I talked in the last live that we did. So if you guys didn't know or haven't seen these, I'm basically doing one every week on Tuesdays. And this was just, I just desire to be a contribution, get these tools out there more into more of your lives. And also for myself was to be more committed, be more consistent with my commitment to who I would like to be. And so these are on every week, every Tuesday. You can get these lives. Every Wednesday, I go live in my Telegram chat, which you can join, and easy peasy, lemon squeezy. So, what was I talking about? Oh my God. I literally, the, and the other freedom that I've given myself with doing these lives is they were really what I would like them to be, for me and the world, is an invitation to show up, because how much of our lives do we spend preparing for the next moment? How much of our lives do we try and get right and try and make sure we've got it all set for tomorrow? Oh, and that's what I was about to get to, was the thing where it's like, rather than ask for it, a lot of us tend to wait until the lights start turning green before we'll start moving in the direction we would like. What if nothing could stop you anymore? So actually getting present began to be the gift that allowed your life to actually expand. How do you get there? Well, first of all, let's start asking for that as well, is what's it going to take for me to be more present today? That question. Oh, and that's what I was getting to, was I think I talked about this on the live that I did last week. Was I wrote this list of what I would like my ideal life to be in the next 10 years. And, and I wrote this list, and I had a conversation with a friend about it, and I looked at it and I was just like, okay, cool. And I've actually added to it since then. But what's gone on since writing that list is a lot of awareness about a lot of things that I've been choosing, that in order to get to what I actually desire, they would not be choices that are going to contribute to it. So how much do you do that? Avoid looking at what's true for you. Avoid looking for the life, the living, the future, all of that you truly desire to create, because there's that sense of, well, in order, I have an awareness of that. I have this awareness of what I'd like to be, who I'd like to be, where I'd like to go, what I'd like to be choosing and creating. But I also know what I've defined myself as. I also know that what I've defined myself as right now would have to change dramatically in order for me to get there. So everything that is times a godzillion, everything that you've decided is unchangeable about that, but also everything that you've decided you are unwilling to lose, that owns you and keeps you from creating the future in order to live in the past. Everything that is times a godzillion, where you destroy and uncreate it. Right and wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all nine, shorts, boys, povads, and beyonds. So how's for that part? That's also been an awareness that's been a lot more present in my world in the recent months, is how many things I had in my life that I was just unwilling to lose. So how many things do you have in your life that you're unwilling to lose that own you? and that you would rather keep than gain the future that you truly desire. Everything that is, times a godzillion, where you destroy and uncreate all that. Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine, shorts, boys, perverts, and beyonds. And it's interesting with that last one, you could feel the earth kind of, the space change here. So I ask again, what's the value of being for you? And what would it be like if you could begin, if this is something that you desire, which I'm kind of guessing it is if you're listening to a live like this, what if you could start asking to value you? What could I choose today? What could you choose today that would be an acknowledgement of you as a being? Everything that doesn't allow you, and here's the process you can use, okay? What could I choose today that would be an acknowledgement of me as a being and what's true for me as a being? Everything that doesn't allow you to perceive, know, be, and receive it, will you destroy and uncreate it? Times a godzillion, right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine, shorts, boys, perverts, and beyonds. Another great question, because I started talking about before this. One of the things that we tend to do, if you're looking at, you want to change your life or you want to create just a bigger life, let's acknowledge that. Also, if you'd like a bigger life, acknowledge that you would like a bigger life. If you would like whatever that is for you also. But what if it's not a big choice that you need to make to have that bigger life? And this is what I've done a lot, and I see a lot of people do this, is they'll look for, okay, so I'd like to have a bigger life. Where's the big choice I need to make to get there so that I can have the bigger life rather than live and be living the bigger life? So, question that you can use with this is, well, first of all, an awareness that goes with that is, I remember early on in my sobriety also where I was just like, I just wanted it all to be over. I was looking for what's the big choice that I can make so that everything that I destroyed and everything that, everything that I created and everything that I could destroyed would all just be different, that everything would go back to normal, that I would be okay, that everything just, all this insanity that I had of just hoping everything would just change with one big choice. And it doesn't work that way. Because if you look at it right now, if you look at something that you've been asking for or something that you desire, if that showed up in your life right now, what would that create? One of the things I looked at with this was I was looking at quite a few months ago, I was looking at my financial situation. And I was like, man, if I had, like an extra $100,000 in my bank account right now, everything would be different. And I went, wait a minute, because it didn't make me any lighter. And I looked at it and I went, okay, so let me get a sense of this. Like, let me actually be with this energy right now. And I looked at it and I went, okay, so get a sense of $100,000, and you can go along with this too if you desire. Get a sense of $100,000 showing up in your bank account right now. What would that create? And I was like, oh, holy shit, I would have no problems. And I went, wow, what am I using problems for that I'm not acknowledging? I'm using problems for the motivation to keep on changing, to keep on growing, to keep on this journey of creating more. And I went, wow, that's insane. Everything that is times a godzillion, where you destroy and uncreate it. Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine, shorts, boys, perverts, and beyonds. But if you can look at something like that without the need to avoid anything. So when you're looking at that and you're like, I'd like this bigger life, but it never shows up. Well, what if you could have the vulnerability and the honesty with yourself to look at it and go, okay, so if it's not showing up, there's something that I'm not willing to choose or something that I'm not willing to be that's creating it that way. What is that? Oh, what have I decided would happen if it showed up? So everything that brings up and everything that doesn't allow you to perceive, know, be, and receive this, and also give yourself the allow yourself to have that awareness of what it actually is for you. Will you destroy and uncreate it? Right and wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all nine, shorts, boys, povads, and beyond. So you could look at with this question. So $100,000 shows up in your bank account right now. What would that create? And you could get like, oh my God, I'd finally have freedom. Or I could do all the traveling that I desire. Or that I could, pay all my bills and not be miserable anymore. Or I'll finally be happy. Or I could finally buy the house that I want. Now, with that is, so therefore you've made money the source for all of these things that you've decided you cannot have. Everything that is, when you're like, oh shit, rather than actually look at it and go, what do I truly desire to have as my life? I'm going to have that. What's it going to take for me to have it? Asking for that and then allowing the money to show up with it. So everything that is times a godzillion, will you destroy and uncreate it? Right and wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all nine, shorts, boys, povads, and beyonds. Okay. Okay. There's certain awarenesses with, well, definitely with a topic like this on being that I have an interesting time trying to put words to, and also for me being here for so long, it's so interesting to try and articulate things. So I apologize if this has been a little all over the place, but one of the things that I've given myself a lot more freedom with, which I offer as maybe a request that you could have for yourself, is what if you could just give yourself a lot more freedom to show up? Like being present in each moment, not having to worry so much about the next, but allowing yourself to show up. Allowing yourself to show up a lot more from question. So with anything, kind of, in a couple of questions that I use with this, anything that you're doing, whether that's starting your day, you're meeting your family, you're going on a date, you're just making a phone call, you're getting on a Facebook Live, you're doing whatever, is what are the infinite possibilities for this? And notice the spaces that are open, the spaces that open up for you when you're just like, man, I just have more of a sense of me. Notice you have no idea how you get there. That it's a choice energetically that we make, or we'll allow ourselves to receive something as an acknowledgement of what's true for us. And then you're just like, oh man, I'm just lighter. And this is another awareness that you want to have with this journey and it was actually one of the first tools that I got in Access Consciousness is that what's true for you will always make you lighter. What's true for you as a being will always make you lighter. What's not true will always give you that clunk in your world, will always make you heavier. Okay, so what if you could learn to trust that a lot more also? So in a bit of a recap with this is, rather than looking for the big choices, you start asking for, what small choices can I make today that would be an acknowledgement of what's true for me as a being. Everything that doesn't allow me to perceive, know, be, and receive it, pock and pod. Okay, and then start getting the awarenesses of where maybe you haven't been choosing what's true for you. And you don't have to, from this space of request for a different future, you no longer have to judge that. So it's not about seeing something that you've been choosing against you, or choosing against somebody else, or choosing that's heavy and going, oh, you know what, I'm wrong for that. Is okay, cool, awesome. There is the light being shone on something that's stopping me from having more access to my being. Now I have choice. Okay. And that is so helpful to have as an awareness of anything that you're unwilling to, that anything that you're willing to unhide from you, you can now change with a different choice. Okay. Anything. And the thing that stops us from changing our lives, from creating something different, from changing anything in your life is the unwillingness to have awareness of it, and the unwillingness to have awareness that you're actually choosing to create it. So everything that brings up, and this is, oh man, this part is big because it really puts you in the driver's seat of your life when you can recognize, okay, this is not changing. Rather than try and fight against it or judge myself for it not changing, what if I actually got present with that I'm choosing it? Okay, another great question with that is, what choice and what am I choosing, or what choice am I making that's creating this exactly the way that it is? Again, everything that doesn't allow me to perceive, know, be, and receive it, destroy and uncreate it. And then that's it. Okay, run that a couple of times, keep living your life. And the way this works for me, and what I love about consciousness, is it never shows up the way you think it's going to. So the more you're willing to actually be present in each moment, and you ask these questions, like, what's right about me I'm not getting? When you're in judgment of yourself, what's right about me I'm not getting, and what's right about this that I'm not getting? And then you just kind of ask that question, and you're going about doing whatever, and then you get this awareness of some strength that you have there that you've been judging out of existence based on the wrongness you have with something. Or it could show up in any way, but you never know how it's going to show up. So what if living was done from a lot more, you're willing to have it be a lot more malleable, a lot more movable. You're willing for it to get a little messy and for things to show up how they need to show up. And there's a whole other conversation on that with control, but we're not going to go into that right now. But everything that brings up, times a godzillion, and all the stuff that goes with it, all the stuff that we've talked about in these lives, which is personalities, primary personalities, structures of autonomy, and all the other stuff. Everything that is, will you destroy and uncreate it? Times a godzillion, right, wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all nine, shorts, boys, perverts, and beyonds. Okay, so I could just keep talking all day, and I'm not going to do that. I'm grateful for your time and for you being here. Thank you very much. And these, like I said, will be on every week. I also have a monthly thing that I do called The Journey, which is just, I love this thing. It's 2 calls per month, and it's such a gift. The contribution that it is to me, and the contribution that it is for everybody who comes along and joins in energetically on these things is just great. I have the Telegram chat that you can jump into. I have a free section also on my website, brendonwatt.com. Access consciousness. There's so much stuff out there. And this is, man, I could not even begin to fathom my life without it. And I'm so grateful for these tools. So grateful for the gift that they are. I'm so grateful for people like you showing up and using them. For people like you showing up and go, you know what? I really like not only a greater life, but I'd like to know what the fuck I'm here for. I'd like to actually be the gift that I came here to be, that I seem to have lost along the way. Can I please say I get it? And you are not wrong for that. And we have the tools. We have the tools, and we have the space available now for you to truly choose to show up and be and value it. Please choose it. And please know that you're the only one that can. And it's just, that's in every choice. So, you don't have to do it alone. You don't have to do it alone. You just have to choose it, and then allow the universe and, all of us weirdos who are willing to contribute to it. So please know that you are a beautiful gift, even if you have no capacity to see that in you right now. Please ask to see it. Okay. And if you can see, one other thing I wanted to say with looking for acknowledgement and validation and all that stuff is, if you can see something in somebody else that you admire, or something that you see as a gift, If you can see something like that in somebody else, the only way that you can see it is if you are it too. Please ask to be it. Please ask to choose it. Okay, my beautiful friends, thank you so much for being here. What a thunderstorm you got to witness. Oh my goodness. I will see you guys next week. And like I said, tomorrow, Telegram, jump on there if that sounds like fun. And ciao. Bye.